All right, y'all. This was crazy. This was crazy. This was crazy. But I'm back. I'm back. I'm in the building, y'all. Welcome to the Dear Brother podcast. Sorry everybody. This was insane. My whole system crashed this morning. I don't know what happened. Everything fell apart. But here I am, and I'm back. And I want to talk about today. I want to talk about relationships, and I want to talk about the origin of relationships. Um, so I think number one, let me show you books. So I think let me just keep it honest with y'all. I watch a lot of YouTube, right? I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and I watch it for the purpose of the culture. I watch YouTube for the purpose of the culture. And when I watch YouTube, what I see is a lot of bad information. Like in politics now, we talk a lot about misinformation, right? And what misinformation does is it causes people to be in a position where they can't really make a good decision, right? They can't really make a good decision because they're misinformed. And sorry guys, sorry that everything crashed this morning. I start my show usually at 6 a.m. and here I am. I don't know what time it is. It is 6:47. Everything crashed this morning. I'm here. All right. And so I think that there's a lot of misinformation on the internet about relationships. And I think this generation, I'm 44 years old. So I think this generation has really crapped on the concept of what relationship is and what really matters in relationship. And what I see on the internet is disturbing, bro. What I see on the internet is disturbing. I see all kinds of shows where people are popping balloons and they're asking why you popped your balloon, and it's based on, oh, I didn't like his sneakers. I see a lot of bad vibes from men toward women. Even me, when I'm doing my shows and things, I've had men attack me on TikTok and things like that, because I'm telling the truth about men. One man, one man called me a chump and that I was soft and why am I here talking for women? And I asked him, I said, brother, this is the Dear Brother podcast, and I'm talking to men about men. But what I'm finding now is men are becoming so soft and misinformed. I think it's the misinformation is making men soft, and that we don't really understand what's going on. We can't really connect to women. We can't because now it's all about being a bully and being mean and what you bring to the table. And I think that a lot of this stuff has really messed us up. And when you have a new age concept, and new information that people are making up. See, this is another thing. I think a lot of these philosophies that are coming from these people on Facebook, a lot of this stuff is coming. A lot of it, you got to be very careful when people are giving you wisdom from their own pain, right? Wisdom is what you learn in life and you're able to look at it, understand it, and then share something about it. See, I'm very afraid of people that are still in pain trying to give wisdom, right? Or people who don't really understand the model of what's going on trying to give wisdom, right? I think that's why you have the brokenness in relationship that you have now, right? A man on another brother on my podcast was he sent me a message and he was asking me. He said, man, I don't like how you stand up for women. And it just blew my mind. What do you mean you don't like how I stand up for women? I stand up for people. And I think the real concept here, man, that we really got to understand is what it means and what love means. And what do we mean? Even before love, who are you? Like, who are you? What do you have? What is your purpose? See, all these are the questions that have to be really, really looked at before we um, get into relationship. And the biggest thing that I think that I want to talk about today is as much as we talk about relationship, I don't believe we talk enough about how to choose the right person. Because I'm gonna tell you, it will ever be hard for you to work something out with somebody who you shouldn't have never been with, right? It's like asking a kid to fix a toy they don't want to play with anymore, right? You want them to have it, but they don't want to have it, right? And I think what's happening now is a lot of relationships, a lot of people are trying to fix stuff they should have never got into, right? There's a certain connection that comes in relationship. There's a certain connection that's forged. There's meaningful things that make relationship, right? And I think that you have to have meaningful things in your life to bring to someone else who has meaningful things in their life to really have a whole relationship, right? And so what I'm thinking is happening here is that people are choosing wrong. We're all choosing wrong. And I think the concept of that is because we haven't chosen ourselves, right? You let me say this: you can't choose a right person if you never chose yourself. It's impossible because now you're trying to connect with someone else while you don't have a hold of yourself. We talking about relationships this morning. Let me know you're in the room. Let me know you're in the room. Say good morning. Say you're in the room so I can say hi to you. But we're talking about relationships in that, um, and some of you in the room right now, you've been in broken relationships. And if you really look back and be honest about it, you look back and say, yo, why was I ever with them? Right. And it's not a judgment on that person. That's another thing. We got to stop judging the people we deal with all the time and see how much judgment have you put on you. Right. Because there's a certain pattern I think that we all follow. Everybody's, you hear people say, well, some people say, I got a type. Then you got other people that say, I don't have no type. I'm not talking about types, right? As far as look, I'm talking about as far as soul, right? You always really wind up picking the same kind of person because the real question is, it's not them, it's you. You're the same type of person. And so let's look at this story in Genesis right quick, because that's really where I want to go. Because I want to talk about relationships from the origin. We could talk about relationships as they are now, but what good are they? Like seriously, most young people have never even seen a good relationship, right? I'm 44 and I can't say growing up, I can probably count on one hand the good relationships I've seen, right? One hand, literally, I can count on one hand the good relationships I've seen. So the question is, why don't we go back to the origin of relationship and see what God had in mind about love, what God had in mind about relationship before we even get into love? Because when we start really looking at this, I wonder, did Adam and Eve even love each other, or could they love each other? See, these are the things that we need to investigate instead of battling the battle we have between women, the battle we have between men. And, when we look at the origin of who man was, the origin of who woman was, and how it really worked together. So let's get into it. So you got this guy, Adam, right? And he's here, and God put him here to work this earth. Right now, let me say this first: he didn't just put him here. It was a plan for Adam to be here. So let me say this, bro. God has a plan for you that has nothing to do with a woman. Let me start with that. Because I think as men, we spend too much time worried about women. I do. I do. We spend too much time worried about pleasing women. We spend too much time worried about chasing women. We spend too much time worried about winning women and this great hunt for women. I think the problem is we don't hunt ourselves. We don't pursue ourselves. We're not taught to pursue ourselves as men. You're taught to pursue money, and then you're taught to pursue a girl, right? I don't think enough men are taught to pursue their dreams either. I think we're pursue this money, chase these women. And once you're on the chase, the thing you forget is you. And then you don't realize as a man, sometimes you're bringing your worst self to the table every single time. Sometimes you are bringing your worst self to the table every single time and you don't even know it because there hasn't been any self-assessment, right? The scripture says that it was not good for Adam to be alone. And when I really look at that, what I really say about that is if it was no longer good, peep those words, peep the words. It's no good for you to be alone. That means that there was a time for him that it was good that he was alone. See, that's the real conversation, brothers. When are the times when it is good for you to be alone? What's the benefit of being alone? What's the benefit because there had to be a benefit. When God created Adam, he could have put Eve right there, right? Now we really want to go deep and we really want to search the scripture and really look at the origin of relationship. She was always there. Oh man, she was always there. Where was she? She was in him, because the scripture said that it said he, and it said he, them. It talks about them, even though it's just talking about Adam. He talks about Adam as them. So who was he talking about? What's that mean? You're looking at a singular man, and you're looking at him and you're calling him them. What else was in Adam? If you didn't call him him, he wasn't talking about an animal. The man wasn't an animal. So what else was in him? He wasn't talking about his heart. He wasn't talking about his organs. He wasn't talking about his lungs, his kidney. He wasn't talking about that. It was something in there. Them, that means it was a person in there. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. This might be my weirdest podcast ever. Not that the podcast itself is weird, but I really feel like, ooh, I could be here for about 3 hours teaching this morning. I think this is why I probably was hindered from laying this thing out, because I'm gonna talk this thing and I got time. And so Adam was by himself, and God put him there. What was Adam to do? What was Adam supposed to do? Adam was supposed to tend this garden God gave him. He was supposed to work this garden that God gave him. The question is, for us as men, what's the garden God gave you? Some of you brothers might say, man, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't got no garden. Yes, you do. Your garden is your purpose. What's your purpose? Well, Christian, I don't know what your purpose is. I don't know what my purpose is, man. It's too much to think about. Yeah, that's the distraction. I don't want a man to think about his purpose. That's the enemy. That's how the enemy works. The goal, the war against men is I want a distracted man that just responds to life. I don't want a clear-headed man who can think through his way through life. I want a man who can he just responds. He's so distracted that he doesn't have time to think. That's what the enemy wants you to do. Right. And that's what some of you have done. That's why some of the decisions we've made in life have been so screwed up, because we did the exact same thing the enemy has against us. I don't want you to think. I just want you to respond. Think about that. Think about in life how many things you've done, how many decisions you've made, how many people you've brought into your life. Some of us have gotten married over and over again because we haven't thought about who we are. We were just doing exactly what the enemy wanted, not thinking and responding. And it cost you. It cost you everything. It can cost you everything, not thinking and responding. So here you got Adam, right? Adam's by himself. What was he to do? He was to work his field. See, brother, you got to work your thing. Work what's in your heart. Don't worry about a woman, because this is what happens. When you worry about a woman, you go off course. You go off course. You go off course, worried about her, worried about chasing her, and then you stop the things that are in your heart that's important for you to do. Remember, man, women aren't bad, but the enemy knows how to use a woman to get to you, to take you all the way down. And if you're honest with yourself, you've been there. You've been in a place where you lost a lot because you at some point took the focus off what was in your heart to do in this world, and you went and got this woman. And then many of us justify it saying, man, I need a woman to help me with this. There's a time you don't need her. There's a time you don't need her. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. Because a woman has the power to change your mind, right? She has the power to change your mind. She has the power to make you think deeper. She has all these things, right? But she's not the foundation of what God told you to do. So what is it? You got to go pursue and do what's in your heart before you get a woman, because the wrong one will talk you out of your purpose, right? So what are you doing while you're alone? That's what makes you better for a relationship, right? You can't practice relationships. Like, this is not basketball practice, bro. You can't just like I'm gonna practice with her, practice with her, practice with her, and then suddenly you get good at relationships. It doesn't work like that. You have to practice on you. You have to sit there and go under your own surgery, your own emotional, social surgery, in order to have a healthy relationship with a woman, right? Because if you don't know you become if you're a mystery to you, imagine what kind of mystery you are to somebody you're trying to date, right? And I'm not talking about a mystery as far as excitement in the relationship. I'm talking about a mystery of, I can't get a bead on this person. Why? Because a woman can't love you if she don't understand you, right? And you can't help her understand you if you don't understand you. So the goal of a relationship is really to to help you understand you, and then you get with somebody that's understanding them, and then y'all can understand each other. But when two people come together that never sought for understanding in themselves, it's a bombshell when they come together. Because now I'm not trying to understand you. I'm just trying to get you to be what I want you to be so I can be happy. And that's what creates a struggle in a relationship. You see why? See, when we start talking about relationship, how messy it get, the real question is, what are you doing while you're alone? What are you doing while you're alone? What should you be doing while you're alone? One, you should be doing the work and the purpose in your life, because that's how you begin to understand yourself, right? So do you sit with yourself and have long conversations with yourself? No. You live your life, you live your dreams, you do your purpose, you pursue the things that are on your heart to do, because that's what you were born to do. You, as a man, you weren't born to marry a woman. Right? A woman is your helpmeet. She's going to help you do the things in your life that you're called to do. Right? But the first thing a man should do, it's a time where a man should be alone. I can't keep saying that enough, and I'll keep on saying it, right? Not because I don't have another point to make, but I think that men really need to understand that there's a time where you absolutely need to be by yourself, right? And that can take a time and time and time. Now, I'm not going to say this is spiritual wisdom, but I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna give you some experiential knowledge, just my opinion. I don't think men should get married before 30 years old. I don't think a man has the ability to have enough grasp on himself, right? I'm not saying that his marriage won't make it, but I think, in my opinion, a man should hold on till he's 30 years old, because to know what he brings to his own table, right? Sis, oh, here we go. See, we're so worried about what to bring to a table. We're both asking, the man saying, what she bring to the table, and the woman saying what he brings to the table, right? And most of the time, you brought nothing to your own table. You've brought no joy to your own table. You've brought no understanding to your own table. You still judge yourself too harshly, right? So this is the time to be alone. Work your garden, okay? So somebody would say, "Well, Christian, today I don't have a garden like Eden, like Eden, or like Adam did." Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Christian, where's my garden? It's right here. It's right here. You expand your garden right here. This is your garden. This is your garden. You're in this world, but this is your garden. How far you can dream, how far you can think, how deep in your heart can you go to find the impact you're going to make in this world? If you get in a relationship with the greatest you get in a relationship with the thoughtful you get in a relationship with the intellectual you. And I'm going to tell you, when you do this, you choose better. You choose better when you are in touch with you. If you can't, here's the thing. I want to throw this in right quick. If you don't accept you, or you don't fall in love with you, and you don't really wrap yourself and embrace yourself, you won't be able to recognize you in another person. Because people, Adam said, when Adam saw Eve, he said, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. In other words, he was saying, she is me. But if Adam didn't know himself, how would he know her if she was him? Right? That's why some of us can't choose well, man. Because you don't know you enough to look at her and say, bone of my bone. You know what you do? Most of us do. You looking at her and say, man, that shape is crazy. Oh man, that smile is incredible. Adam wasn't looking at no smile. Adam wasn't looking at no shape. For think about it this way, Adam didn't even know what a woman was. So he wasn't be able to say, "Oh, look at her shape. Oh God, look at her hips." He didn't know what any of that was. He had connected with her on a deeper level. He connected with her on a deeper level from the rip. I'm a Philly guy, so I say from the rip, but from the start, from the very beginning. From the very beginning, Adam looked at her and he saw himself in her. He saw something deeper. Bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. In other words, she is me in another form. Imagine if we start really doing that in our lives and relationships. Imagine how many the divorce rate would go down immediately if people start choosing based on this bone of my bone. Listen, now what does that mean? So let's get into that, because I sometimes I teach, and I'm an inspirational teacher, and I want y'all to really get the facts behind this stuff, right? So let me slow down and give it to you, right? What does it mean for a man to say bone of my bone? What does it mean for a man to say bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh? In today's form, It means that we connect in a soulish manner, that our first connection is in a soulish manner. What's the soul? The soul is the mind, the will, and the emotions, right? Right? So that's what we all have. We all made up of mind, will, and emotions. That's the soul. So how do I connect with somebody then? If y'all in the there, I got a few people in. Just hit the like button for me. That'll pull more people to the site. That'll pull more brothers to the site. All right, hit the like button for me. Thank you. Um, I think that so if I'm going to connect with a woman, number one, I got to connect to her in the mental space, the mind. What's the mind? The mind is not the brain. Hmm? The brain is a computer that just stores information, but the mind is how that information is it goes through the body, right? The mind is how information is passed through the body. The mind is more is once I hit my emotions. Thank you guys for hitting that like button. The emotions and all this come together, and then the mind is not just where I think about the world. The mind is where I think about myself and what I'm to do in life. Right? So it's not the brain. Oh, we think alike. No, 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 that's not enough. Thinking alike is not enough. Oh, I like him because we think the same. That won't last because you won't always think the same. If you fall in love with thinking the same as somebody, then you'll fall out of love at some point because you're not always going to think the same. At some point, at some point, ladies and gentlemen, right? If there's ladies in here, at some point, you got to realize that it's not the thought, it's the mind. If the mind holds on to who I am. So when I connect to a woman mentally, can I find myself in her? Not that she acts like me, right? But she processes like me. She processes like me, right? And everybody has a different process. But how do I choose? I got to find a woman who processes like I do, right? How does she process information? Not just take it in. How does she process it? And what does she do with it in the world? See, and all of us men are different. So you know what works for you, but still, you got to make sure this thing is healthy, right? And connecting with a woman who has now, here it is. Here it is. Let's go because I've been teaching this a lot. I've been teaching this a lot. You got to find a woman who has a womb right here. And if some ladies are in the room, I want you to understand this. Your greatest womb is not in your belly to make a baby. Your greatest womb is right here. See, because we got to take the pressure off women, making some women feel like their only hope in life is getting married and having a baby. And there's some women that feel like they're not even a woman if they can't have a baby because nobody's teaching them that their greatest womb is right here, right? There, a woman births everything right here, right here. And I'm gonna tell you, there are some women who don't have it right here. There are women that can have babies from their body, but never produce anything from the womb in their head. So you don't want to be with a woman that doesn't that can't produce from here. Hmm? See, see. Now we're talking about choosing. Now we're talking about choosing because this is what you should be checking for, right? You looking at her body, you saying, "Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man," right? Can she produce from here? So that's the mind attraction, the mind, the will. The will, my God, the will is what you will perform in this life, what you will and will not do, what you're willing to give your time, your talent, your energy to, what you're willing to give yourself to, what you're willing to invest in. You got to check that in a woman before you get with her. You got to check what's her will, right? What's in her will? How far is she willing to go for herself? Oh, man, I'm telling you, I know this is weird to say, but I'm so glad everything crashed this morning because I feel so good talking to y'all right now. Yes, the will. What is she? How far is she willing to go? Not for you, bro. How far is she willing to go for herself? Because you listen. Listen, if you're just looking for her that she'll go far for you, listen, if her going far for you is driven by how she feels about you, imagine that days or that week she don't like you in a relationship, right? So it's not about how far she'll just go for you. Oh man, she'll do anything for me. Check how much she'll do for herself. You want to know what kind of woman to choose? Check what she'll do for herself. Will she do this for herself? Right? Is it in her? Does she have her own will? How far will she go for herself? How far has she gone for herself? How deep will she go for herself? How far will she travel to learn something? Right? Is she cultured in her heart? How far has she gone to add things to her life that makes her who she is? This is what you should be checking. You should be checking that, right? So the mind, the will, and the emotions, right? How does she feel about herself? See, the thought is, how does she feel about me? How she gonna treat me? How? No, and for some of women that's gonna see this podcast later on, understand. I got you, Xavier. I'll be right with you, bud. Um, for some women, it's the same thing. If a man won't go far for himself, if he doesn't have feelings toward himself, it's going to be very hard for him to have feelings toward you. Let me see. Uh, let me see. My man Xavier is in the building. Good question. Let me see. Um, can you give an example of a woman and a man who process the same and what that might look like? Okay. So I'll take this for example. Oh, great example, Xavier. I'm gonna move my camera so y'all can see right quick. This is fun. All right, let me get from behind this camera. All right, so go with me. So see that door right there? Now let me turn the light on because I'm gonna show y'all something. I know I'm probably driving y'all crazy moving my camera, but y'all my brothers. I want to teach y'all something. All right, all right. So y'all see that? All right. Obviously that's the door, right? One day, my lady. Now this is my whole dream, so y'all can see it right quick. But this is the example I'm talking about. One day, I was sitting there and I was like going through it, right? In my mind, like, all right, trying to figure it out about like where I'm going, what I'm doing, this and that. And I'm sitting on the couch and I was telling my lady about like my dream, Xavier. I was like, man, I want to do this. And I was kind of all over the place, you know? And she was like, go get a Sharpie. And I'm looking at her like, see, this is submission too. Let me throw this in. This is when the scripture's talking about submitting to your woman. Mhm. Um, Not because she's boss hogging you. She's trying to lead, she's trying to make you see greater. That's the gift of a great woman. She helps you see greater. She helps you clarify. Right. I'm sitting there and she's like, go get a Sharpie. She was like, now you gotta believe this, honey. You gotta believe this. I'm like, all right. She says, first of all, write down at the top of the thing, $1 billion enterprise. And I'm like, all right. Right. So my faith was there. My lady was jogging my faith. She said, write it up there. And I wrote it up there. $2 billion enterprise, master built men's centers. Right. Right. I'll share this with y'all one day. I'll share it with y'all wholly, man, because we got to do this thing. But I was looking, and she said, keep on writing, keep on writing. And the next day, she said, go back and write your whole vision out on the wall, on the door. I'm like, all right. So I never done it. I have never been. What I showed y'all was the clearest, most well put together vision and getting it out of my head so I can see it every day. You know who calls that? Xavier, my lady. Right. So here's your question. Can you give an example of a woman and a man who process the same and what that might look like? Yeah. Eh, we're sitting there and I'm processing my vision and she wanted me to see it. And she pushed me to put it up there. And then we stood together and looked at it. She said, babe, that's the whole thing. I said, yes. I said, finally, I got the whole thing out. And then she said, if we ever leave here, we got to take that door with us. I said, yes. She said, I believe everything you wrote up there. And she made me believe it even more. You feel me, Xavier? That's what it means to process the same. right? She helped me process my vision. She helped me process and become better at who I was going to be as a man. She helped me see. That's what it means, process together. Great question, bro. Great question, right? But you got to find a woman that helps you right. Connect mentally. Good morning, Ryan. Thanks for coming in, bro. I'm sorry I had so many crazy technical difficulties. I'm glad you guys have jumped on, right? But if we go back to Genesis again, let's rewind a little bit and go back forward. Here you have Adam, that this man was made by God. This is the first thing you got to realize, guys. Adam had an understanding of who he was because he was working his stuff. What does that mean? When God told Adam, name everything in the garden, that was God trusting Adam. Let's go ahead, because I'm going to be here for a while today. I got time, bro. That was God trusting Adam. That wasn't Adam trusting God. God created a world that nothing had definition to it. It was there, but nothing had definition to it. And then he says, I'm glad you made it, Ron. He says, you name everything. I trust you. You're my guy. Now, I want you to feel that. I want you to, absolutely, Zay and Xavier. And if I need more clarity, bro, jump in there. Let me know, bro. Let me know, man. Let me know. And if y'all got questions I ain't got answers to, I'll say that too. Right? Yeah. So 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 Adam here, he had authority. See, you got to know what you have without a woman. You got to know what you have just by yourself. I don't think we've done an assessment of ourselves by ourselves as men. We talk a lot about our flaws and what we have to get better, but I don't think we talk enough about who we were before trouble came. Right? What was on your mind before everything broke loose? What was on your mind before all hell broke loose? That's where Adam was. Adam had to say, okay, he had to get his feeling like, hold up, all right, God put me here. I'm God's guy. You got to know that about yourself, that you have great purpose and great value first. Because think about this. If you really grab a hold of the value and the purpose in your life that you really have, do you know how many women you wouldn't have dated? Think about it. Look back in your life, right? And if you telling me you never dated a woman who you look back and say, what was I doing? You're lying, dog. You're lying, right? Because you didn't value you enough to realize that don't belong here. See, this is the thing. Adam was the only, let's look at this thing. Adam was the only human in the garden. He was surrounded by animals. He could not relate with those animals because they were not like him. They were not like him. And I'm sorry to say that I think a lot of us guys, you don't have the patience or the virtue or the fervor to find yourself. So you know what you do? You just start dating the animals. Hmm. The woman who has a terrible attitude, the woman who doesn't want to understand anything, the woman that's at constant war with you, the woman who you got to carry on your back and perform for every day. Many of us have dated the animals because we didn't do an assessment of ourselves to realize we ain't them, right? Y'all not like us. How many women have you dated that she was not like you? Because we talk a hell of a lot about toxic masculinity and ignore toxic femininity as if it doesn't exist. I personally believe that the toxic female is a worse enemy than the toxic male. A toxic man to run around all over the place, bumbling and fumbling. A toxic female will surgically tear your life apart. Let me see. That's why COVID was somewhat a blessing for me. It forced me to sit still, fresh out of relationship. Yes. And I had to deal with me. I needed that time to sit still. Self-work. Yes. Yes. And you know what it is, Ron? It's the gift of solitude. It's the gift of solitude. That's what it is. It's the ability to be able to sit with yourself. Peep it, Ron. How much time we don't have a timeline in the Garden of Eden, and nobody knows how many days in this, but what we do know is Adam was alone. What are you doing alone? Because if you know what you're doing alone, then you know also, man, you know, soon as you meet somebody, she gonna mess up my whole garden, dog. Ooh. Oh man, let's get into that. Imagine getting to that point where you can look dead at somebody. You're so informed about you, and you're so informed about what you're doing, and you're so in touch with your garden, and you done labored in it, and you done put your sweat in it to make it great. You're not just going to sit back and say, everybody just come on in. No, you got to be able to say, yo, she not worthy of my garden, dog. No, no, bro. No, she too chaotic. She not worthy of my garden, but you got to have a garden. See, that's the thing. You got to have a garden. Don't be worried about what these women talking about, what you going to bring to their table. Man, I'm only worried about what's on my table. I'm worried about what I bring to my table. And I'll determine whether I'll share what's on my table with your table. Because your table might not be able to handle what I got. And that's a fact, right? Your table might not be able to handle my garden or what I got. I got too much for you. See, it's a reversal now where women think they the prize. A woman is not the prize. And that's bad teaching. And I would challenge any woman on that anywhere. That a woman is not the prize. The man is. How can somebody waiting to be asked to be married, how can she be the prize? She can't be. The truth is the man is the prize in a relationship. There's no way that a woman could be the prize and she's sitting back waiting for somebody to ask her to marry her. The man is the prize. Right? Yeah. See, you got to really understand and really grab a hold of yourself as a man to understand. Do I understand my garden? Let's go there. Do I understand my garden? Well, see, because before we start talking about women, see, this is why it's a great war on the internet between women and men, because nobody's assessing their self. There's no accountability on men's side, and the woman won't admit any wrong, right? So what's in my garden? Do I understand my garden? Because I don't think a man should be with a woman if he don't understand his garden. Because you know what a woman's going to do? She's going to manipulate your whole garden. Here you are, born to grow corn, and she's going to say, baby, I think we should have some apples here. Now, can we add some apples to this? But what happens is if you ain't sure about what you growing and what you're doing in your life, she'll change your mind about what you're pursuing. She'll change your mind about what you're pursuing in life. That's a dangerous thing, right? So Adam had to accept the time. He enjoyed the time, and understand this too. Adam wasn't looking for a woman because he didn't know one existed. He was only pursuing himself. He was pursuing himself. What's your garden? And this is a question. What's your garden? What have you given up? Right? How many times did you leave your garden to chase an animal? How many times, bro, did you leave your garden to chase an animal? Somebody that wasn't fit for you? And let me ask you this. How many of y'all brought somebody in your garden and she tore it up? Come on, talk to me in the chat. Huh? How many times did you bring somebody to your garden and she tore up your garden? Mm-hmm. Why? Because you didn't understand your garden enough to know who was worthy to walk with you in it. All right. The scripture says that God walked with Adam in the cool of the day. Okay. God walked with Adam in the cool of the day. That means this man had experienced walking and talking with God. You mean to tell me just any woman belongs in the midst of that conversation? So there's two things a man needs. He needs a garden and he needs to walk with God. He needs a garden and he needs to walk with God. Two things a man needs. He needs a garden and he needs to walk with God. When a man is in a garden, and the man possesses his garden and he has a walk with God, he values that so much that anybody can't come in there. And let's even talk about this, guys. But we talking about male-female relationships. Let's talk about even your homies. How many of your homies have tore up where's your garden? Right here. How many of your homies have talked you out of your garden or laughed at your garden? See, when we talk about relationships, we can't just talk about men and women. You also have to talk about the times where your homies in your life. have helped you destroy your garden. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. We got to talk about how religion has helped us destroy our garden. We got to talk about how education has helped us destroy our garden. See, there's a lot to talk about before we start talking about women, gentlemen. Because at the end of the day, you choose the woman that's in your life. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Here's accountability. You choose the woman that's in your life. You the garden don't just have an open door, bro. The garden don't just have an open door. You chose who to put in your life. So that means that you chose based on how you felt about you. Oh, man, she unstable. Is she? Oh man, she all over the place. Is she? See, these are conversations we don't want to have as men. We just see, and this is why I want to. This is why I'm glad I'm on the internet now because there's too many clowns teaching bad stuff and leading people wrong. The woman you chose her, bro. And look, it's the same thing Adam did. Didn't Adam say? Adam looked at God and said, "I man." He said, "What happened?" He said, "It was the woman you gave me." We see the same thing on the internet today. It's these women. It's these women. It's these women. No, no, dog. You said bone in my bone, flesh in my flesh. You chose that, right? Now, the question is why? Why'd you choose that? Why? Why didn't you choose you? See, these are the conversations that women be having, but men don't have these. Why didn't you choose you over her? What were you lacking that made you say, you know what? All right, I'm gonna bring her on, right? Or what were you looking for? Oh, were you choosing for your garden? Did you look at her and just consider your emotions or the fact that you were horny? See, I think men need to take two looks. When you look at a woman, you need to look at yourself and then you need to look at your garden before you choose. I'm going to say that again, bro. You need to look at yourself. If you see a woman and you say, "Oh, I think I like her." Okay, cool. 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 No problem with liking her. Take a good look at yourself. A good look at yourself means that you question yourself. All right, why her? What am I doing? Did I do this before? Is she the same? Am I about to rock a pattern again? Right? So that's the look at yourself. You got to question your mind, will, and your emotions. Okay, mind. Why do I want this? Oh man, because man, I'm horny. Oh, okay, bad decision. You're about to make a bad decision. Why do I want this? Oh man, because all my homies getting married. Man, shoot, bad decision. Oh, why you want this? Oh man, I'm getting older. Man, I gotta do something. Bad decision. Right? Oh man, my mom be talking about grandkids. I know my mom with some grandkids. You about to make a bad decision, right? The choice of her has to be built on your mind, your will, and your emotions. And does all that line up? Does she line up with who you are, how you operate here, and how you operate deep in your belly? Does she line up with that? Another question is, does she have a womb in her mind? Can she take your words and make something bigger? Or is the only thing she can do is take a seed from your body and make a baby? You don't need a woman who can just take a seed from your body and make a baby. Anybody can lay down and have X, and you lay down and have X, you put your seed in this girl and she gives you a baby. The question is, can you put something right here and she produce a baby from here? Don't get with her unless she can do that. Right? Don't get with her unless she can do that. So we talking real manhood right here. We ain't talking about no punk stuff where a bunch of clowns making excuses about women and they hate women and da 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 da. No, this is a grown man show. The grown man show. We're not sitting around talking about it was the woman you gave me. No, we're assessing ourselves as men, saying, "Oh, what's up with me, dog? What's the time where I was weak as a man? What was the time where you were reckless as a man, where you wasn't thinking about nothing? Nothing, and you were just doing stuff. Come on, let's talk about those times too. Let's talk about the times you just made moves. You was reckless, man. You were just out here, right? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the times where you just it was a thoughtless move. Got to be honest. Because this is the thing, and you're gonna hate to hear me say this, but I guarantee that some of y'all gonna marry the absolute, you're gonna absolutely marry the wrong one. You're gonna absolutely marry the wrong woman. You know why? Because you won't listen to this podcast the right way. Right? I'm trying to teach you something about you, man. I'm trying to teach us something about us. And the reason I could talk this talk, man, I'm not talking like I'm overlording you. I'm me. I've been through hell and back. I've made the most horrible decisions. I'm telling you where it comes from. It comes from lack. What am I lacking? I need something right quick, right? And that's not always X. Sometimes the worst thing you can do is lay your head on the wrong lap. Peep that. Come on, y'all. Look at Samson. Bible don't say nothing about Samson laying down and having X with Delilah, right? It says Samson just laid his head on her lap and she cut his head bald. She took his what? Took his mind. When she took his mind, she took his strength. He went out there the next day and tried to be what he was before he met her, and he couldn't be what he was before he met her because she took something from him that he would never have again. That man went out there and shook his hair and felt no power. This is the question, bro. How many times you gonna be cut bald because you're not assessing the lap before you lay at it? How many times you gonna be cut bald because you're not assessing the lap before you lay in it, man? Think about that. Think about that, bro. Right? You got to assess that lap, but you got to assess yourself. Adam was working his garden, man. Adam was working his garden. Have you made your dreams big? Have you made your dreams big, man? Have you made your dreams as big as you would like them to be? That's the question. Have you done that? Make your dreams as big, pursue yourself a lot. Go after yourself a lot. We'll get deeper. I'm gonna go deeper into the story, and we'll talk about Eve and Satan and the conversation and the fruit. But the first thing we need to talk about today is Adam. We need to talk about you in that garden alone. You in the garden alone. It is good for you to be alone. It's a time absolutely when it's good for you to be alone. All right, y'all. I'm gonna get out of here, man. Today was wild. I don't have all my screen stuff. But I had to get on here and share. Sorry about the technical difficulties, man. I'm gonna try to figure all that out today. But this is my morning show, man. Happy Friday, everybody. Enjoy your great weekend, man. Let me pray for y'all before you go. Holy Spirit, thank you so much for my friends on here today. Thank you so much for their hearts, their minds, who they are. Thank you that it's a great Friday. They made it through the week, Lord, and all the different stuff that might have came to challenge their thinking this week, challenge their value this week. They made it. They made it. And even if they're under that press, I thank you that being under pressure is one thing, but making it is another. Even under pressure, they made it to the end of the week. Lord, every day you give us strength for that. And I thank you so much. They have the strength to do it. I thank you, Lord, that they're great. They're great people. You made them great. I pray in their lives they would hear in their heart every day. No fear, no shame, no compromise. They would move forward with their efforts. But most of all, whatever effort they move forward with, I pray that the greatest effort would be pursuit of self as men. In Jesus' name I pray. Love y'all cats. I'll see y'all later on. I'm gonna drop something else. And remember, Wednesday nights, I'm gonna start going live Wednesday nights at 9 o'clock for the brothers. Let me get all this chaos together, man. This morning was a morning, but I'm happy that I was able to share with y'all. Have a great day, everybody. No fear, no shame, no compromise. You matter to me. Peace.